You know, I'm really not the jealous type, but when I am slaving away in the office and my guest is literally taking a road trip in an RV, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what am I doing wrong? You know, why can't I just throw the Starlink mobile up on the thing and go? You know, go grab me some In and Out maybe somewhere. But no, that's not what's happening today for me. But you guys are going to be exposed to yet another innovation that I've discovered in the AI world. And this AI, with all the multiple LLMs that it's been trained on, is now capable of managing and making your recruiting world more efficient across any industry that you're in. I hope I haven't oversold that, Casey.
No, spot on. Thanks for having me, Tony.
Man, great to see you. All right, hang on. I'm going to give everyone a slightly different view. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Okay, you're on a road trip with Covenant and Scout. Where are you right now?
So I am. I actually have to look at my phone. That's a great question. So Santa Rosa, New Mexico. So I was in Dallas yesterday, Houston before that, New Orleans. I started in Florida, and we've got a big conference in San Francisco, so that's where I'm headed.
You're literally doing the business road trip, and so this is a personal RV or a rented RV?
I own this RV, and every year I take, I drive probably 9,000 miles. Tony, it's almost, since COVID, it's almost innovative to actually go and meet with people. So I travel the country. I meet with candidates and clients all over the country, but I literally go to them. I tell them I will go to wherever you are.
Gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, okay, so you're in this really slick looking RV. I love it. I love it. And we're gonna be talking about this new AI platform that you've developed. So, give us the backstory. Why did you put in the time, the money, the resources, the effort to bring Scout? Everyone's going to see Scout. We've decided you've got good enough internet there. We think we're going to do a demo, so you're going to be able to see what I have seen. I was like, wait a minute, y'all need to see this. So, what was the genesis for you to do this?
Yeah, no, great question, Tony. So let me just take a step back. I started in staffing because I used to be a chief information security officer. And frankly, I was not impressed at all with staffing. And I thought, wow, we can do this better. So I launched Covenant in 3 years, May 5th. However, even with all the technology and automation we have running, there were still gaps, many gaps that frankly could only be solved by technology. For example, I mean, right now, statistically, they say only 15% of people that apply are actually even looked at. So that's a problem. And I wouldn't be financially viable if I hired enough recruiters to look at everybody that applied. On average, we get between 300 and 500 applicants for each of our jobs. So that's one. And then, of course, ghosting, right? Most candidates, the statistics say 90% of candidates are ghosted. Well, again, I'd have to hire so many recruiters to follow up with everyone. Plus, it's manual. I couldn't solve that, or I'd be
Well, and
out
they're
of.
ghosting us too. I mean, it's like it's going both ways. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the big surprise in all of this for me was just the quality of candidates. So imagine if 500 people apply, a recruiter goes through 40 of them, while 460 people are never even looked at. And just statistically speaking, that bucket of 460 probably has the best talent in it. But what happens normally is a recruiter looks at 40 or so profiles, good enough, submits it to the client. So what we've found is not only better quality because everyone's being looked at, but the other thing that's been really neat to see is because Scout has been trained in multiple LLMs, multiple industries, where we fail, and frankly, other staffing companies and internal recruiting fail. You have a recruiter that's recruiting for warehouse, sales, IT, cybersecurity. they can't possibly understand the technical aspects of all the different roles they're recruiting for. And that's not their fault. I mean, they're not superhuman. Scout understands every industry at a deep technical level and therefore can vet candidates. So we use Scout to interview candidates. And then we still believe in the human touch. A human recruiter still interviews the candidate before we submit to a client.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest drawback for a agency owner is knowing the time and the commitment and the money, the resources, the training to bring a talented person up to speed with the technical knowledge to do the equivalency of what their senior recruiters can do. It's like anything. You need like 10,000 hours to really feel like you're an expert of reading resumes, interviewing, really kind of knowing your niche. I mean, if you could take someone like me, who I haven't really been in the recruiting space now for a couple of years, but you'd never lose that skill set. So you could literally plug me into another sector with my knowledge and then maybe use something like what you've got. And that kind of gives me that technical arm that I need. But now I can do what I do really well. And therefore I could leverage and start working multiple industries where maybe before I was just siloed in accounting finance. Like, gosh, I can't get up to speed in IT quick enough. I can't get up to speed quick enough in engineering. Now it's like I can like multiply myself, sort of.
No, Tony, you are spot on. And actually, for our business, it did just that. But for even
Mm.
individual recruiters out there, imagine, and once you see this, you'll understand this better. But the power of Scout is you can scale even as an individual recruiter and scale in multiple industries.
Right. I guess that's kind of what I was intimating. All
Yeah,
right, well, let's do this. You want to go ahead and let's see if we can bring Scout in here. And we're gonna back out of here so we can get a broader, bigger look here at Scout. Is that her name?
that's her name, Scout. And
All
we
right, great.
purposely
So
did not want to make her look like an actual human because she's not. So we went the avatar route.
I do like that she's got really kind of big eyes and glasses. It kind of shows like the intent. Like, I'm going to be reading a lot of resumes.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Um,
All
so
right, show
Tony,
us what we're looking at here. Kind of walk us through this thing.
perfect. So there's a lot here, but what I really want to cover is it's all about finding the best talent as quickly as possible, and honestly, at cheapest cost. So if I go to manage jobs, I'm just going to go to an HR job that we worked, and so hopefully I'm going to scroll in. So this job right here, we've had 612 applicants across those 612. 5.2 is the average score. You could click here to the top candidates, but I'm going to go to view job.
Okay.
And so right here, you could see the candidates scored. If I scroll down on the bottom right, there's like 25 tabs. But what's happening now is you have people, humans, that are really going to the 25th tab and spending time looking at someone that scored a 2 out of 10. So this quickly presents to you the top candidates for the role. We also push
Can
in.
you zoom in?
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
can you zoom just slightly bigger? Okay. So there's the scoring column, and that's a 9. So look, the first question is, how do you create the scoring system, right? So there must be a way for you to sort this out, and it applies it to the candidates.
Yeah, so let me show you. Like I said, sorry, I've got to scroll back out to show you something.
No, that's fine. I just want people to see the column.
Yeah, so one thing we've been adamant about building this platform is we still believe in human intelligence. So one of the things we found, and I'll scroll in, that separates us is whenever we take a job, we ask the hiring leader, what's most important to you? And that's the must have requirements you see here. So the platform actually weights those heavier than the overall job description. And so it uses the must haves and then the overall job description to create a score. So I'm going to go
I
into,
see.
I'll go into this candidate here. So um, here's one of the candidates, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So what the platform does is scores the candidate. That's not a great example because they're all A's. Let me find another. Was
Yeah,
it?
maybe a lower score.
Yeah, so right here you could see Scout, 2 A's, 2 B's, 1 C. So what Scout has done is this is what the client said was most important to them, and Scout has scored and articulated why that score was received against what the client said was most important. And then also we can go over here and view the score details. I'll scroll in here. So it's very detailed, and it typically starts with, here's where they meet the needs of the job, and then it finishes with where there may be some gaps. The other nice thing, Tony, is you could chat with Scout. So this goes back to the human intelligence piece. And I could tell Scout if I had some type of intelligence that this candidate actually has 15 years of Six Sigma experience instead of 5, I could type this in here and then Scout would rescore the candidate based on that additional information. And something else our clients absolutely love, this little schedule interview. So with the click of a button, we integrate with Teams and Google, but also you can manually over on the left on the calendar tab. If you only want to do interviews 1 to 4, so you don't have context shifting throughout the day, you can manually enter that. And then Scout, with the click of one button, is going to go back and forth with the candidate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you're only notified when you have a confirmed interview. So huge time saver.
I love that. So this, okay, so let me bring you back into this because I want to let people. Okay, and I'm going to her out of here just for a second. Okay, so Scout is not interviewing the candidate per se, right? It's using its understanding of language to cipher through the resume and then score it, and then it'll set the interview up for you, and then the human gets involved. So it doesn't have to. The candidate doesn't have to feel like it's talking to an AI assistant.
Well, actually, it does. So we have, and I'll get to that.
I
You
mean,
don't
it does that, or is it automatically does that?
it both. So you can in the platform say if someone scores a 7 or higher or 6 or higher, whatever you decide on their resume review, you can automatically have Scout reach out and schedule an interview. This is happening today. Let me just give you this use case.
But
We have
when
a
you say schedule an interview with you or with Scout,
with Scout. So Scout will reach out automatically. So let me just give you a use case because this is happening today. We have a client we're filling 1,600 jobs for, and they're merchandiser jobs. And so,
wait, is
in
that food and beverage?
no, like shelves and stuff like that, and displays and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, merchandisers. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. Food and beverage, they use a lot of merchandisers.
So, but this is happening today. So imagine you apply for a job, Scout scores you in 2.2 seconds, and then automatically you receive a text to interview a Scout and an email within 5 minutes. So imagine applying for a job and you're interviewing for that job within 5 minutes. That's actually happening today, and I'll show you what that looks like.
You want to show us that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me go back to. So one other thing before I show the actual interview, if I go here to Question Builder, so the platform also creates questions that Scout will use. You could obviously use them as a human as well, based on the must-haves in the job description. And you can reorder these, delete them, you can improve them using AI, you can add questions. But the nice thing here, Tony, is everyone's getting the same set of questions and is being graded on the exact same questions. When when what is sent? I'm sorry. No, it's an actual avatar talking to you, and that's what I'm about to show you. Yes, and Tony, if you don't mind, don't say anything because Scout will stop because she'll think you're talking to her. And then I'll go for like 2 or 3 minutes, but it's pretty amazing. And if it's slow, it's probably because of my connection in the camper, but hopefully it will be okay. You know what, Tony? Actually, I'm not familiar with this platform. If you don't hear something after like, yeah, yeah, just say something.
Hi there, I'm Scout, your AI powered interviewer built by Covenant HR. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me today. I'd like to take a quick moment to explain what makes this process a little different and better for you. We created Scout because we believe the hiring process should be smarter, faster, and fairer. Too often, great candidates get overlooked. Interviews are inconsistent and people never hear back. That's broken, and we're here to fix it. Here's how this works. Every candidate is assessed. That means you won't be filtered out before even getting a shot. We're always available. Scout can run interviews 24/7, so you can move forward without delays. This interview is structured to be fair and consistent for everyone. That means I'll ask each candidate the same set of questions relevant to the role and assess answers based on key job criteria, not personal biases. Ready to get started? Let's dive in.
Thank you, Scout. Can you tell me how much this role pays?
The base salary for the Director of Operations role at Baptist Health ranges from $130,000 to $165,000. The target is to aim for the middle of that range. Additionally, there may be bonuses, stock options, and other benefits, which will be detailed later in the process. Do you have any other questions about the role or the compensation package?
Actually, can we interview in Russian now?
Здравствуйте, я готов продолжить интервью на русском языке. Какой у вас вопрос о роли или компании?
Scout, I have no idea what you just said. Can you tell me in English, is this on site or remote? And do you know anything about the hiring leader?
The Director of Operations role is a hybrid position, requiring 3 days in the office at the One Call building on Prudential Drive in Jacksonville, with the exact location provided later. As for the
So I'm going to stop it there just in the interest of time.
Holy smokes.
It's game
Oh
changing.
my
It
gosh.
is. It's so Scout knows 32 languages and can change on the fly.
Okay. You see, folks, this is why I wanted you to see this because you showed me a lot of this, before, but for whatever reason, remember we were having some kind of internet issue and we couldn't get Scout to do the interview because you wanted to show me that. I didn't see that.
Yes, it's
That's kind of a game changer. And then so basically it takes all the information that you give it, and then now it's ready to answer any questions that the candidate has. And then I suppose when you're done with whatever questions you have, then Scout will start the interview.
absolutely. Scout will go down those sets of questions and will actually pressure test you. It's pretty amazing to see. And then ask follow-up questions, ask for examples. I mean, we have already gotten a lot of great feedback from candidates. One being, and I'm telling you, like they're actually enjoy talking to Scout better than a human. They say they're more relaxed. It was, just a really great experience. And then also, we've gotten great feedback on just how accurate and responsive, and it just makes sense. It's not like you're talking to a computer. Actually, on this tour, this is called the Scout Meets America tour. I've been walking up to strangers and having them interview with Scout. And so I've gotten so much feedback that, my last one in Houston, actually, she said, I thought it would be like talking to a computer, but it was really like talking to a human. Like she was blown away.
It's
And that,
getting better.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I don't know, Casey. That this is I hope this is really opening the eyes of people. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and I think that's why, we're doing this. So this clearly allows for incredible amounts of scale. Let me just ask about the maybe legal or compliance issues that you have discovered, or maybe the clients have come up with. What else is in place that one would want to have if you were using this sort of technology with a client and with candidates? What have you found?
Yeah, so far, I'm knocking on wood. Everything has gone really well. Now we just had a call with a $33 billion company yesterday, and they're going to get back to us in a week with here's 8 of our compliance areas, and how do we address those. I don't know what they are yet, but the only thing that's come up is bias, and frankly, Scout doesn't know the name or location of the candidate. So really, Tony, we've got clients, using this right now. We haven't had any issues whatsoever.
So, who are you targeting for, say, new clients? What are you like? Who are you trying to attract to Covenant HR to become a customer?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, again, this is the power of Scout because of the multiple LLMs. It's really any industry. Now, what I will say is, obviously, if you're only working one job a month and typically you only get 10 candidates, then Scout's not going to be worth it, right? Because you're not getting a high volume of candidates, you're not working a lot of jobs. But if you have volume, and I will tell you, our recruiters were skeptical. They love Scout now. They're making more money. It's making their job way easier. Um, and so they've embraced it. And we have weekly meetings in which we literally talk to the recruiting team, what's working, what's not, and then quickly updating and innovating in the tool to make it better for them and also our clients.
Okay, so if if a company wanted to use Scout, is this I don't understand. Do they log into your platform and load their jobs in, or do they run their jobs through you? What's that relationship? How does that look if they want to get access to Scout?
That's a great question, Tony. So long term, we integrate with ATSs, right? So we're currently integrated with Bullhorn, iCIMS, et cetera. We have an open API. It's not hard. We need our technical folks to talk to the ATS technical folks, and we write bi-directionally. So if you're using Workday or Bullhorn, and that's your source of truth, then you can have Scout write back and update candidate profiles, et cetera. To test it out, it's this easy, and this is what's beautiful about it. Literally, like we're integrated with LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, and Indeed right now. In those platforms, you can put an email address, and so for our clients, we'll give them an email address, and if they just put that in those platforms where normally a recruiter's email address would go, then those platforms send resumes to Scout. So everything you just saw in that demo, all we've done is post a job to LinkedIn and put a Scout email as the recruiter. Everything else just happens. And
So
it's
it's like
literally,
this automatic parser, and it's
yeah,
taken away the top of the funnel issue.
absolutely. And I mean, we can stand up a tenant literally in 24 hours. And honestly, we've been offering this. We've been using our job slots like, hey, we'll give you a tenant. Here's your login. Give us a job description. We'll post the job. And then whenever you want, you can go into Scout. And then Scout also pushes these emails. You can set it up to say, hey, I only want to see 7 or higher scores every morning at 8 a.m. You could set the platform up to do that. So that's what our recruiters do. They're not looking at junk. Every morning, they're seeing in the last 24 hours the best talent that's applied.
So one of the challenges that companies have discovered when they want to get into, AI and automation, they have a concern about the data, the cleanliness of their data within their system. Scout apparently is working the front end or the top end of, candidates that are coming to the client with a job posting. Is Scout now currently looking into the back of, say, your Bullhorn or your iCIMS to look at existing candidates? Do you have any plans to go backwards? Because right now this is like a forward facing.
Yes,
What's
we have.
happening on the backside? Because I can tell you, cleaning your database is expensive, and I'm starting to like get all these ideas as I talk to you. Like,
Yes. Well, we actually have a feature right now in the platform. It's called Find Similar Candidates. So you can retroactively go back because we have 170,000 candidates in our database. We can go back and say score all of these. Now that processing costs a little bit, right? But everybody that's coming into Scout now, they're already scored. So Scout knows what they're good at, knows their skills. So in the platform, you can hit find similar candidates, and Scout will find other candidates in your database that make sense for that job. Graded.
I try to keep these podcasts to about 25, 30 minutes. I could talk to you for an hour about this because it's such an interesting but practical, smart way of managing, your data. So what's the problem though when you've got thousands of records, but they're not clean, they're not normalized, and then you tell Scout to go back in and look, isn't it going to have kind of a hard time deciphering, or is it just going to have to go and grab that resume, grab that PDF, and then read it? And if it can do that, could it be trained to then, okay, go back in and redo my input? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
I know I do. I do. We haven't talked about using it to clean up records, but what I will tell you, like in Bullhorn, any candidate is going to have a resume. So we don't run into any problems because there's a resume there. Now, we actually are teaming up with another company that our database is updated. So basically, because I'm sure everyone out there, even me today, I get emails, "Hey, you'd be a great firewall administrator." I'm thinking, have you looked at my profile? Like they still have my resume from 30 years ago. So we have a company that actually ties into our database and updates our records.
Do you
So it's
mind? You don't have to say who it is, but I've interviewed a lot of these companies,
Candidate
and
IQ. I don't mind saying who it is. Candidate IQ is the name of the company.
yeah, Andrew Burnham. Okay,
Yep. Yep.
got it,
And so
got it.
we use it to update our records.
We're in fact we're in the process of doing a demo with them. So because, and this is why you see why I was thinking through this, because you kind of want to have your data cleaned, normalized, and then that way you could have someone like Scout come in and kind of manage your search and match, if you will,
That's right.
of what
Well,
you already have. And then you add Scout for the external, and now you've got both sides going.
yes, absolutely.
Oh man. Man, I tell you what, I wish I was a recruiter at this day and age. I wish I was 25. I mean, I would literally be billing millions a year.
Set a
Millions.
record last month because of Scout. And everybody knows, I mean, the economy, the uncertainty, but we literally set a company record last month, and 73% of the candidates we submitted were Scout candidates.
Casey, this is amazing. I tell you, I am absolutely loving this podcast series. I have met just incredible entrepreneurs, new great ideas. We're gonna have to do this again.
I would love it. I mean, I enjoy this. I'm not a salesperson, Tony, but this thing's so easy to sell because it's truly valuable and it's soup to nuts. You have all these ad hoc AI products. This is literally a full cycle recruiter.
Yeah, yeah. This is. I feel like we're in a war for the right idea right now. We've got the LLMs out there, and now people are creating their version of what they think is best. And it's like the marketplace is going to decide.
Yeah, and Tony, that's a big differentiator for us. Like you have all these tech companies, but we built this and we're farther ahead than anyone. But we're a staffing company. So we've obviously built it to solve
Yeah.
issues we see
Yeah.
every
And,
day.
and that's a great point of differentiation. I mean, you can be an IT person and build something, but you want someone who's come from the industry, who's grown up and understands the nuances. And then those little nuances show up in the platform, the way it thinks and processes, and all the buttons and the dials and the columns are made for the recruiter's mind. Like this is what, yeah. And I totally get that. Well, like I said, I shouldn't be jealous, but there you are. Was it Arizona, you said, or New Mexico?
I'm in New Mexico, Santa Rosa, I think. I
What's
tried.
What's the temperature out there right now?
It was chilly. I went for a walk this morning. I would say it was probably 60, but it gets hotter during the day. I tried to make it to Albuquerque last night, but I ran out of gas. I was tired, so pulled over to Santa
I tell
Rosa.
you what, I'm going to look for you on LinkedIn. I hope you're doing some. You should do some lives. Bring in Scout and do some lives. And just go live on LinkedIn. You may not know how to do that. It takes a minute to get that all set up. But Casey, we're going to absolutely do this again now that everyone has kind of seen this. I personally, I'm going to contact you. I want to do a demo. I want to figure out, how can we use it? Because we do volume. When we get into staffing, we have volume issues. So fantastic. So what's on tap today? Who are you going to see today?
So I've got some meetings today. I've got to sit tight here with a good connection. Then I'm
Got it.
tracking to Phoenix, and then
Phoenix.
I've got Scout Meets America in Phoenix, but I also have some executive. I meet with candidates everywhere I go, so I've got
That's
some.
fantastic. So Phoenix, here they come.
Yes, sir.
Casey, good seeing you again, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, everyone.